And welcome back to the Fireside Chat with GDRV. With your host, Tom Gropp, multimedia producer for Grand Design RV, and Jeff Muffaletto, sales development manager. Jeff, how you doing today?
Good morning, Tom, or afternoon, or night, whenever you happen to be listening to this.
Depending on where you are in the country.
That's right.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing good. Really excited today because we have another in-house guest.
We do. I'm excited about this one.
Why don't you take this one and go ahead and do the intro.
Well, it's one of these things that there's every time we go to a rally, the Grand National Rally, they always do this poll, and a live poll. Don will usually do it, and it's to see who brought the most of one product.
Right.
So,
yep. Does it every year.
Yep. And that's the question. And sometimes, it's fierce. You'll see the solitude people out there, usually a lot of them. You'll see the reflection people. It's usually pretty heated between those two.
Yeah, those are the loudest crowds.
Yeah. The momentum folks, they show up, but they never really expect to win. You're not gonna beat the big fifth wheel or the reflection.
Sure.
And then you have the Imagine crowd, and they're out there, pretty good contingency. But I got to tell you, every year there's always like sitting back there in last place is the Transcends. And
yeah.
And it's like, oh man, you feel for these people. And boy, they're spirited, but man, they just need more people. And so what we did is we went out and we found some. We said, who could make this happen? And that is who's in the studio today.
Okay.
Product manager for Transcend, Mr. Matt Eppers. Matt, hello.
Welcome.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, in your own word, how long have you been here at Grand Design now?
Yeah, coming up on 6 months.
6 months.
A great 6.
Yeah, it has been. I feel like I've known you forever.
Yeah.
And here we are in the studio. I have to ask, what is Transcend in your mind? Like, tell me a little bit about your vision of the brand. Obviously, it predates you a little bit here, but, we're kind of turning a page. There's going to be some new things we're going to talk about. So, to just start out, what is Transcend to you?
Yeah, it's a great question. To me, it's a beautiful product. I was working for a competitor when Transcend released. I remember it was my first Louisville, and we snuck behind kind of the Grand Design display. The buzz around the whole industry at that time was, hey, Grand Design's releasing a traditional built travel trailer called Transcend. And I to truth be told, I remember the first time I saw it and thinking, man, this thing is sharp, from the metal and the seals, and kind of as a competitor, excited to see how it went.
Yeah.
So fast forward, what was that, 6-7 years ago? And now to be over here and to be able to kind of mold that product and take it in a fun direction is really exciting. But what it means to me is, I think, is the entry into the Grand Design world, and what really excites me about Transcend is it's an opportunity for what, traditionally we call that first time camper. Their first experience with an RV is a lot of times in a traditional built, and we're kind of that gateway for Grand Design. And that's what excites me, is to really make that product a gateway, and offer some lighter price points, some lighter weights that get customers into the Grand Design family.
Gotcha. Now, you mentioned the term, and I think we should define it, traditional built. Now, that's the proper term. You have traditional, conventional built. There is a slang term that's used in the industry, right?
There is.
And so we don't, it gets thrown around a lot. In fact, for you customers out there, a little inside baseball here, if you ever hear the term stick and tin, that is what he's talking about. Conventionally built travel trailer is built with wood and a metal overlay instead of like a laminated fiberglass. And so stick and tin, I think, is kind of derogatory because, there are neither sticks nor is it tin. But it is, it's built like a house, essentially. It's got wooden studs, a fiberglass insulation inside, and then a metal skin. So that's what we're talking about. Now, you mentioned this entry into Grand Design, this first-time camper thing, but historically, there's still been a little bit of gap there where some people, either the Transcends, it might have been too much for them as far as weight, too much as far as budget, but that's starting to change now, right? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, and that's what's really exciting is, when you evaluate Transcend in 2023 and heading into 2024, is realistically it's floor plans over 30 feet that are heavy, that kind of push that half-ton towable, and maybe a little bit higher MSRP compared to what some competitors have out there. So what really was exciting, what brought me on board was the opportunity to bring down in size and length and weight and floor plan and an MSRP pricing for our customers, a different segment of Transcend. And that's where we've come up with the Transcend 1, which would be our single axle. Those will be real small, lightweight floor plans, 3,500 pounds dry, 4,600 pound,
Wow.
totally loaded. Yeah, so those customers that are in a Jeep, Grand Cherokee or something with 5,000 pound towing can actually now pull a Grand Design, where in the past they've never had that opportunity to, outside of going to a larger laminate product.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to me. First single axle for Grand Design.
Yeah.
So now we're into that market too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the Transcend 1.
The Transcend
is
1.
the name of that. So
Yep.
one axle.
One
Yeah,
axle.
Very, very well done.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's great. And I think maybe historically the conventional built travel trailers, at least in the past 10 years, have gotten a little bit of a stigma because there's so much out there. They're not too difficult to produce just from a manufacturing standpoint. I mean, not to take anything away, but you don't have to have a lamination facility to do that and to build walls. You can build them on a smaller scale. So a lot of people have jumped into that segment because they can produce them, but that's also had a negative impact on quality, right? There's been competitors and not just big competitors, like small competitors too, like ones that you may have never even heard of, but they're not building them to a certain standard. And so people are a little bit turned off by that, right? They get one of these things and they have a terrible first experience. How does Transcend and how does Grand Design change that?
Yeah, you nailed it, Jeff. Very well said there. And where I analyze the market and the focus for most single axle builders are what I'll call price. They're price oriented from the beginning. And what I found is a lot of times when you're price oriented, that cuts quality. Because the components you bring in, doing kind of things the right way. So from the very beginning, when we redesigned Transcend 1, and what we'll talk a little bit later is our kind of relaunch Explore, we didn't focus on price as much as we focus on lifestyle features and quality. Right. In developing these products, we want to make sure we're not changing the brand or the DNA of a Grand Design or a Transcend. We want to offer that same quality, those same features that make a difference for our customers. We just want to do it in a lighter trailer at a lower price point. And working with vendors and being creative, we've been able to do that. And that's what excites me the most about this Transcend 1 is, stacking it up next to another competitor single axle, there's going to be a visual difference between those two products. And not much of a weight or not much of a price difference at all, but definitely a difference in value and quality.
Well, that's fantastic. So tell me, I mean, either specifically to Transcend 1 or the overall line in general, what are a couple of distinguishing things that set Transcend apart from other brands that may be more, let's start with price and keep it really cheap and maybe cut corners even?
Yeah. So one of the biggest ones for us was building on an 8-foot wide chassis and a frame. A lot of guys go 7 or 7.5 to kind of cut cost. We know it's a tight space already. Let's make it a full body wide unit. And then part of that, let's make it a full walk-on roof, which we're not seeing out there. Got to get up, got to check your seals, check your AC. And then secondly, let's give it a heated and enclosed underbelly.
Okay.
And that's something we're not seeing in the single axle, especially with a flip duct down there. When you purchase an RV, you don't want to just camp for 3 months in the summer.
Yeah.
You want to be able to use that thing as much as you can, and having that enclosed underbelly help extend that season, especially for that first-time buyer that's in, or any buyer really. They get an RV, they want to use it, they're proud of it, and we want to extend that camping season for them.
It's funny, when a lifetime ago when I was working at a dealership, there was a product that was sold, and the customer. There wasn't a ladder on the back, but the customer brought their own ladder, and they thought, well, I'm going to go up there and check the seals and things like that. And they stepped on that roof, and they just heard the loudest crack because the roof was not a walkable roof. I think a lot of people assume that it's going to have that any given product's going to have a walkable roof, that it's going to have a heated and enclosed underbelly, but that's not really the norm, is it?
It's not. No, and that's. I don't want to call it the dirty tricks in the industry, but unfortunately, I think some other manufacturers are good at taking money and quality away from things customers don't see, in the walls and the floors and the ceiling. And from day one at Grand Design, that's where we focus most. If you're gonna trust us with your business, we want to make sure it's something that stands the test of time. Another example of that is a roof mount AC. It's a 13.5K AC, same stuff we're using on our tandems. You're seeing some of those weird kind of side mount window ACs and whatnot that can cause some condensation, drip, and eventual issues down the line. We wanted to forgo all that and again build a quality coach. So from the very beginning in construction, it was important to us that we kept the same brand DNA, same construction methods, quality methods across the line and bring it to our Transcend 1.
That's fantastic. And, you said there will be a visual difference as well. And, I don't want to give too much away, but exterior or interior wise, what are some things we can expect for that?
Yeah, so really excited on the exterior when you walk up. We'll actually still have the standard solid step in place of some of the flip out steel that other guys use. We'll still have the one that folds up in the door. We'll still have that classic Transcend glass door on it, that automotive glass finish. We worked with one of our suppliers on a really, really cool awning that's got what's called a fusion light. So it's not a classic beaded light that we'll see a little bit brighter, which is nice. Really excited about the JBL sound system, JBL interior, exterior speakers, and a nice head unit. Give you a clean sound.
JBL. So
yeah.
that's cool because, and you guys out there listening may not know this, but most of the time when you go with a generic RV speaker, those things are like a couple of bucks a piece, and they're made of tissue paper.
Import, never heard of it before.
Yeah. And once you get above, 50% volume, it starts crackling, and it's just not good.
Yeah.
JBL, name brand, it's the same stuff the same JBL you'd find in the store, right?
Absolutely.
It's name brand stuff.
Yeah.
And that's typically things, I'll tell you, and Tom, you know this too, because you've done some of the marketing stuff on this, but when it comes to our audio systems in these units, it's just above and beyond. JBL on what is the kind of starting point all the way up to Rockford Fosgate
Right. Yeah.
on the other brands. It's just really cool.
Something I was going to say too was the the quality of the touch points.
Yeah.
And to me, that's very important, for customers and as well as me being a consumer of different products. It's when you see it, you got that quality that gives you that trust in the company and what you're looking to buy.
Yeah.
So.
And that, again, it's an easy way for competitors to cut costs in an area that they know, hey, most customers don't try the speakers before the sale. For me, what's very important is, hey, we don't want to trick a customer into a sale. We want them to get into their unit, turn on that JBL sound system and say, dang, this thing sounds incredible. It's got a clean sound. And part of camping for me is going out, listening to some music and having a good time at the campsite.
Yeah, for sure. So now you mentioned the Transcend 1. And then what's after that? Are we up to the big stuff after that?
Yeah. So kind of moving. So again, when we came in, Transcend was just one segment. It was called Transcend Explore. And that ranged from a floor plan from, 26 feet, ball to bumper, all the way up to 37 feet. What we really are going to do is segment those out. So we have different segments that are kind of built for different towability and budgets. Transcend 1, our two initial floor plans, release 151RB, 151BH. And then from there, we'll jump up into the kind of redesigned Transcend Explore. And we're focusing here on non-slides and single-slide floor plans that are half-ton towable, primarily under 30 feet for us, 1 AC, and just building out, a lightweight and really price-aggressive and budget-friendly camper. But again, I keep harping on it. We didn't change any of the quality or the DNA in that product. We just went through and found what are some things that maybe customers don't necessarily need to have that are some extra bells and whistles that we can take out and add in other content like a JBL, like a larger refrigerator, like a trash can storage. Some of these lifestyle features that make a difference, but maybe you don't need 3 skylights per unit, something like that.
Right. No, that's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, I want to get back to the Transcend 1 because I know people will have this question.
Yeah.
But what you mentioned the weights, which is awesome. I think it's going to open up for a lot more people, but I think they're going to be thinking, so what is this thing going to cost? And clearly we're manufactured here. We talk about MSRPs, manufacturers, and then anything other than that, is you'll have to work with your dealer out there to find out. But what is the MSRP of a Transcend 1?
Yeah, great question. So our target is to be right around that 20 number on the MSRP for the 151BH and the 151RB, and we'll be right there. So getting a Grand Design built quality travel trailer for under $20,000 is the goal. And again, being able to make it lightweight enough where you can use a multitude of tow vehicles to tow. Is the goal.
Well, and there is a certain aspect, and a lot of people don't think about this, but it's kind of this price versus long-term cost analysis that, if you were to get an RV, what is your cost over 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And it's really, really noticeable in these lower price points. So, for example, and for you people out there listening, this is something you may or may not know about. Transcend, the way like maintenance is done on a Transcend from the standpoint of sealants, is a lot different than just about every other conventionally built travel trailer out there, right, Matt?
It is, yeah. And that the kind of going back a little bit is one thing we talked about at the beginning was how, the traditional or conventional built's a little bit easier to build. We have a joke in our plant against all the other plants at Grand Design that we're the ones doing the heavy lifting because we're building the floors, we're building the walls, we're building the roof.
Right.
The laminates are just assembling Legos.
That's
taking walls.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah.
No, it's fun. Jerry Lehman, our plant manager, and I kind of laugh about that. They're doing a great job. But yeah, when it comes to how we seal our unit, one, we know that regardless if it's laminate or traditional build, water is the nightmare for RVs.
Sure.
So we do everything we can to make sure moisture, water does not penetrate that unit, specifically something with wood frame. We know it can happen there. So the industry standard realistically is butyl tape and a seal, some sort of silicone sealant around the edges that kind of protect it. So you have 2 points. For us, we use our quad seal, which is 4. We have a mylar tape behind the metal, which help protect everything. So we don't use butyl tape at all, which again is common for the industry. Butyl tape and a silicone. We actually use a mylar tape behind the metal, which will go on the back.
Mylar tape, you said?
Mylar tape.
So mylar tape is for, not Kevlar. Because I think a lot of people think Mylar Kevlar ends with R. This is not bulletproof.
It's not bulletproof tape.
Right. Have we tested that it's not bulletproof?
We did one time.
Okay.
It is not bulletproof.
Okay, gotcha, cool.
We wanted to see.
Rest in peace. But the Mylar tape, that is actually what they make weather balloons out of, right? So very light, very strong. It's got a kind of a weatherproof backer on the back, and we use that across the Grand Design complex to seal units versus the butyl putty, the butyl tape, which is, I've been told that stuff can dry out in as little as 6 months and start cracking.
Before that, I mean, in certain climates, before that, you can get a month in, and that's where we go away from it. Is if it's hot, if it's cold, that butyl tape reacts differently, right? It can crack, it can get very oily, it can start seaming, and something that, again, I think not a lot of customers realize is other OEMs make it mandatory that you check and replace those seals.
Right.
How are you supposed to replace butyl tape that's under your guardrail?
Well, I'll tell you, you have to take all the trim off. You have to take all the windows out. And think about that, guys, out there. If you buy a unit that is sealed with butyl putty or butyl tape, and I'll tell you, you've seen this before, even if you don't know it. If you go to pretty much any trailer older than 2 or 3 years old, look under the windows, and you'll see like a gray kind of chalky substance coming out the bottom. That's butyl putty. And what happens, you see that stuff, most people just cut it right off, like, use an X-Acto knife or something like that, cut it off. Well, the problem is you don't have a seal under there now. That's why you see bubbles under windows, along roof lines, delamination. And like you mentioned, it is the death knell of an RV. You start to get water in there. So this Mylar tape, it completely takes that out of the equation, right? So you don't have to take off all the windows, all the trim, replace everything. And for those of you guys out there, like right now, like what we're seeing, retail shop rates at dealerships for service work is anywhere from $150 to over $200 an hour. I promise you that's at least a 10-hour job to take away all that stuff.
Gotta be more.
Right. Yeah. So there's a difference right there. I mean, if you're actually going to follow a maintenance schedule for these seals for another brand, you're going to pay several thousands of dollars every couple of years just to replace seals.
Yeah, and I think the unfortunate part is realistically there's not a lot of customers who do that.
No.
One from a lack of knowledge where it's not advertised, or two, just the burden of it. Right?
For sure.
Who would want to do that?
No, yeah, no one wants to do that. Yeah. Especially, and to pay that much, if you buy something for, let's say, $20,000, are you going to pay 10% of its value just to replace the seals?
Within the first year of ownership.
Right, no. Probably not.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. So we have Mylar tape, and then there's a few other components to this, right?
Yeah. So then there's a foam backing on all of our components. Think like a rear tail light, right? Kind of comes through the metal. There's a hole there, so we put a foam backing on that. Again, that's butyl tape on 99% of other products out there with the silicone bead around it. The Mylar tape and our foam backing are actually enough of a seal to pass our air test. And real quick, what our air test is, we'll actually board the unit up, fill it with kind of pressurized air, and then go around the seams with a soapy water solution. And if it bubbles, we know, hey, air's getting through, a leak, something we need to address. Those two together are enough of a primary to pass an air test seal for us. And a rain bay, it's been great. But for us, it's not good enough. So then we're going to go around the exterior with the silicone seal, which is more as a secondary or third seal for us.
Yeah.
Where a lot of competitors, that's their actual primary seal.
Yep.
So really 3 stops of defense, and then of course your fourth is just our metal S-lock siding coming together, which is the quad seal kind of together for us. But with that, I mean, as far as the traditional built conventional travel trailer, the best seal in the game, in my opinion.
No, for sure, and that's very different than pretty much everybody else out there, right?
Yeah, and standing behind it in our 3-year structural warranty.
Okay. So many layers of defense, so to speak.
Many layers of defense.
Many layers
I love
of defense. So, Matt, a question. If we were going out to like a dealer's lot customer trying to look around and looking at your product, what would be a selling point that they should hear? Why should they buy the Transcend over like a competitor's product?
Yeah. Great question, Tom. So I'd say to answer that question.
Let me add to that. I'm going to add to this scenario.
Okay.
What if you're looking at a Transcend and there's something else on the lot and it's $1,000 less money?
Yeah. 100%, right? And realistically, are there going to be competitors out there who may be able to sell for less than us? 100%, because they're not putting the quality and the value and stand behind the product that we are. So with that, the first, to preface, every customer is a little bit different in their wants and needs. But for me, it'd be the overall kind of feature content mix that's in our unit and the quality and construction that's different compared to what we see else in the industry. So going back to, we're going to be a little bit of a wider trailer, which give you a little bit more living space, a little bit more interior cabinet, exterior space. Other things that are, we're doing in our Transcend, one that we're not seeing, are things like full pass-through storage. Oddly enough, there's a lot of competitors out there that'll give you the baggage door side because they know that's where the customer's looking. And then on the non-door side, there'll be no baggage door. It's just a blank wall. So you have a 8-foot port of storage that you can't really get into.
Yeah.
So making it full pass-through, doing other little things, a really exciting feature we've added that is not in the single axle market is a 2,000-watt inverter prep. So if you are a customer that you're not plugging into shore power every time and you want to utilize our solar prep or even our solar option, our solar prep 600 watts solar prep universal, so whatever solar port or panel you want to use, and then a 30 amp solar controller prep, that's enough to really indefinitely for a weekend run your refrigerator with adequate sunlight. We're not seeing that on a lot of other single axles. If the customer or the dealer wants the option on our solar package, you get a 200-watt panel, 30 amp solar controller, and still have that 2,000-watt inverter prep. So we're taking features that we realistically don't see in a single axle lightweight trailer, and we're making those standards. But that heated and closed underbelly would be another big thing as a customer to look at. And again, kind of out of sight, out of mind. That's something that's under the unit. Not a lot of customers in all actuality get under and look at a unit. But to ask those questions and ask, hey, what's the warranty on this thing? Is it short? Is it warranted for full-time camping? What kind of AC is on it? Is it a 6,000 BTU AC? Is it a 8,000 or is it a 13.5 that Transcend uses? I'd look at little things like what's the interior cabinets made of? Is it all MDF or is there actually some lumber core in there like we use at Transcend with real pine? And then on top of that, just outside of construction, I'd look at what are some of those features. Cool things that you'll notice in a Transcend one you're probably not going to see elsewhere are what I'll call lifestyle features. Things like magnetic door latches on your cabinets instead of the normal catch. One of the highest warranty items across the industry is adjusting cabinet doors because the guy on the line installed it wrong or it moved in transit. Now your cabinet door won't close. We went to magnetic door latches just so every time we can confirm that it catches. That JBL Entertainment Center we talked about, and then of course one thing we'll be using really cool in there will be a glass front refrigerator. kind of matching what we're using in our bigger Transcend stuff that, again, we're just not seeing. So
Right.
Depending on what's important to that customer is kind of how I'd steer it.
Yeah, right. Sure.
But I know that we can definitely talk about the quality of the unit because it is the highest quality built single axle travel trailer in the industry.
Okay. Many great selling and buying features.
Yeah, sorry, a little rambling there, but
No,
I'm
that's
passionate
fine.
about it.
No,
I
that's
love
great.
it.
No, that was good,
That's
man.
what people want to hear that.
So for people to find out more about this, clearly our website, granddesignrv.com, because typically this segment has a lot of floor plans, right? I mean, it's going to have a full lineup between the Transcend One, the Explorer, and the Transcend. There's going to be something for everybody. So if someone was kind of starting their journey, because this is kind of a first step to a lot of people, is this segment, what would you say is the first step in finding the right floor plan?
Yeah, great question. So when we look at it now, Transcend is essentially 10 floor plans. We're eventually, when our segments are built out, going to be at around 20 to 22 floor plans. And I think something that's very important on the quality side is that they're all coming out of the same plant. One thing that we're seeing a lot in the industry right now is there's competitors that are running multiple different products out of a plant. When the line's changing construction materials and quality, components left and right, a lot of times we see a slip in quality. So it's very important to us as we made these changes from Transcend 1 to Explorer to your full-blown Transcend. It's all the same people building it with the same components, regardless of if it's a single axle or a tandem axle trailer.
Okay.
And realistically, that's a big shout out to Jerry Lehman and Sam Lehman and their crew, our plant managers. Jody's been doing a tremendous job on our purchasing team, and Keith Wolfong, our engineer, is absolutely just killing it. But with all that said, we're going to have a lot of new products coming out. So if a customer wants to figure out, hey, what's that best floor plan for me? Definitely start with the website. You can kind of get a good idea of what those floor plan layouts are. We'll have some videos, some pictures. Tom, thank you for all you do on that side.
No problem.
But lastly, I'd say go to your dealer. Go to your local Grand Design dealer. This product's going to be landing on the lots, and as much as a floor plan or a video walkthrough is great, until you're actually in that product, I think we can all agree on that. You don't really know, and it's different. So I always encourage customers, hey, if you can find your local dealer, go see that unit on the lot, get an idea for it. And, we talk about these quality, these feature items, but again, I'm a firm believer when you walk in that unit, you're going to be able to see it. So long-winded answer, but I'd say start on the website. And again, depending on floor plan needs or towability needs, kind of select a few, and then let's get to the lot and check them out and see the actual difference, not just hear about it.
That's great advice, man.
Well, time to go.
Oh, let's see who that is. Oh, man. That's John, our lamination plant manager. He's stolen our shoes and sprinkled Legos all over the ground. I think we're stuck, man.
All right. Yeah.
Well, we better try to get out of here. Matt, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Well, guys, until next time, let's try to traverse this thing. Let's get out of here.
All right. Till next time.